Hey everybody out there in the YouTube universe, this is Mr. Movie, and in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different. This is part 2 of the other video that I made. The first one was a top 5, so is this one. First one was top 5 movies adapted from Stephen King novels or short stories that are in my collection that aren't horror. This one is the top 5 movies adapted from Stephen King novels or short stories that are in my collection that are horror. There you go, part 2. So the first one, not horror. This one is horror, which is more well known for, I'd say. Like I said in the other video, he's just an amazing writer, one of my favorite, and he's prolific. He writes, all kinds of things but he gets the horror tag because most of his stuff is either horror or dark. So when you think of Stephen King, automatically horror pops into your head. You can't help it. But as I said in the other video, he's a normal beer drinking, baseball watching guy if you see, interviews with him. And but he's just such an amazing, prolific author. But today we're going to go with more of what he's known for, I would say, which is the horror stuff. Now, it has to come from one of his novels or short stories. And here is the top 5 horror movies adapted from Stephen King stories in my collection. Now, starting in at number 5, we have... Oh, before I get into that, there are going to be a lot of movies that people love that are left off this, that I do have, that I love too, but they didn't crack my top 5 for different reasons. Maybe these are better made films. They have more of an attachment to me, the movies that I love, and also that the rewatchability factor that I usually put into a lot of my lists, and I always put into the scale when I do a movie review. So these are my personal top 5 that are in my collection. Number 5 is The Mist. This is a really cool movie. I love the whole mythos of it, where they have, the government did some kind of an experiment and opened up a portal that they don't know how to close, and all these, Cthulhu type, things are coming through that, they don't know what they are, they don't know where they're from, and they're just rampaging and destroying this town. And Thomas Jane is the main character, who I like as an actor, and he does a great job in this movie of showing terror for his kid. And I love the fact that they get stuck in like a store, that sells food and groceries and stuff like that, like a big supermarket, I guess you would say. They get stuck in there and feel that it's a safe place. You're used to that place, so they all gather there and stay there. But this hole that they opened up, you never get to see it. You never fully get to see the huge monsters. It's very Lovecraft kind of the way it looks. And there's giant ones, there's smaller bug type ones, there's things that fly, there's things with tentacles. It's just nuts. And it's this mist that started coming off the mountain where they did this experiment, and mist slowly takes over the town, and all these creatures are in the mist. So they're afraid to go in the mist. They don't know what's in there, and these things are in there. So anytime someone ventures out, they get sucked in or flown away or wrapped up in tentacles. It's just complete madness. It's a great movie. I love the way the pacing is. It sucks you in, and then you're like, what the hell is going to happen? You don't know what's going on. And then it has one of the most screwed up endings in the history of movies, which is a big reason I put it on here. It's really sad and depressing and just messed up, but you're like, whoa, when it happens, that, they finally get away, but the mist is catching up to them, and their car runs out of gas, and it's him, his kid, this girl, and, this older couple. And, they run out of gas. He's got a gun with 5 bullets in it, and there's 6 of them. So he doesn't know what to do. And, he ends up, okay, we're not letting these creatures take us. And he shoots everyone in the car, including his kid, his young son, who he loves more than anything, because he didn't want him to have to go through whatever that is in the mist. And then he goes to shoot himself, and there's no more bullets left. He just gets out of his car, and he's like, take me, take me, he's screaming, and gets on his knees. And literally 30 seconds later, the army shows up, and they have it under control. They finally figured out how to deal with it, how to beat it, and all that stuff. And he just killed his son and these innocent people. And it's like, oh, you're like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, you want to kill yourself. You can't believe that he had to kill these people and kill his son, and he couldn't kill himself to like just curb the pain. And then they're saved, but it's too late. It's just so messed up. But it's a great movie, and up to that part, you're like, whoa, and then you're like, oh my God, what? I can't believe that happened. Great movie. Number 5, The Mist. Number 4, this movie's near and dear to my heart. Me and my best friend used to watch this movie all the time. Shout out Dave. And we got stuck on it, and it's just a phenomenal movie. And that is Silver Bullet. It's a werewolf movie, but the werewolf is a priest, so everybody trusts him in the town that they're in. But the little kid who's in a wheelchair, who's Corey Haim, him and his sister kind of figure out something's up with this guy. There's one part where they end up, his uncle, who's Gary Busey, is hysterical in the movie. He gave him fireworks, and he also he souped up his wheelchair, so it's like a rocket wheelchair. Like, it goes like 50 miles an hour. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. And he's shooting off the fireworks, and the werewolf kind of realizes that he knows. He goes after him. He shoots him in the eye with one of the fireworks. So then when they see the priest with an eye patch, they know who it is. And it's just, it's such a cool movie. It's really jump scare. This werewolf is tearing people up, and kids, adults, hunters. They send all the hunters in the town after him. They try to get him in all different ways, but they can't kill him. And it's called Silver Bullet because silver bullets kill werewolves. So he keeps telling his uncle, keeps telling Gary Busey about it. He's like, get out of here, kid. Your imagination, you're crazy, whatever. But then he says, okay, you know what? To shut you up, I'll stay with you one night. But he secretly thinks there might be something to it. So he has a silver bullet made. And when he's sitting up with him, the priest comes back because now he knows he's caught. The eye patch, the whole thing. So he comes after him in the house and he attacks. And Gary Busey's like, okay, this is real. And there's just a fight, and they end up the bullet rolls away, and they have to get it out of a grate, and it's just like you don't know what the hell's gonna happen. And finally they're able to get the bullet into the gun, shoot the werewolf, and he turns back into the priest. And it's just a really intense movie, especially when you're a kid, and it holds up when you watch it now. It's still good. It's creepy. It's a good story, great Stephen King story, and I got attached to it when I was a kid, and I still love it now. Great movie. Number 4, Silver Bullet. Coming in at number 3, I know a lot of people like this one, is Misery. Another Stephen King movie that, from the other list I was talking about, he likes to write about writers because that's his life, that's who he is, and what writers go through. And this is the ultimate one of that, because it's a writer, he gets trapped in the snow, car crash, and his number one fan, goes and saves him, and then brings her back to her cabin, which is out of the way of everything. There was a blizzard, so they're cut off, and she just her whole thing is she loves the stories, and the last story that he wrote was killing off the main character that she fell in love with. She has all his stories, she knows his whole career, she knows his whole life, and she seems nice enough, but then she loses it when she finds out that he's killing off her favorite character, and she makes him that, you're gonna write a new one where she comes back, and she forces him to write it, but he starts figuring out how to get around the house, even though his legs are wrecked. He gets, he's in a wheelchair. He kind of figures out his way around the house, and figures out her timing and stuff. And then, they get into it. There's a big fight at the end, and he's able to kill her, but he never walks the same again. And even when he's in a restaurant, after he wrote a book about his experience with this whole thing, that is a bestseller, and he's out celebrating with the people from the this distribution company, that he sees a waitress coming, and he thinks it's her, and it is her when you see it, but then it turns into another girl, and he's just seeing things. And it's a weird thing that he was kind of done with the writing. Like he was writing this last book, kill off the character, and he was kind of done with the whole writing thing. And in a weird way, that sick, crazy experience he had with her, got him back into writing. He wrote his best book because it's about something that happened, and it in a weird kind of way, it jump started his creative juices to be a writer again. But it's the whole thing of stalkers and people getting too into something, and it taking over their mind, and unstable people getting too into something. It's a really intense, crazy movie, and it's just it's a phenomenal movie. There's one really graphic part, but other than that, it's more psychological. It's the whole thing of feeling trapped, I think, is the main thing, and you don't know where it's gonna go, and you're really happy in the end when she's the bad character, and she gets it, and she gets it in the end, and you're happy about the whole situation. So great movie. Number 3, Misery. Number 2, this is on a bunch of my lists. It was on my Jack Nicholson list. It's nothing you could do about it. It's got to be everywhere because it's one of the best movies ever. Classic movie, The Shining. Jack at his best. Stanley Kubrick directing the hell out of it. Just creepy, psychological, just everything that you want in a horror movie. And it's long and it's drawn out, but it's that slow burn of intensity in the movie that really gets you, and you never are sure what's going on. You're kind of always on the edge of what the hell is going on in this place. And again, about a writer, you know what I mean? That's something that he does a lot, because that's what he knows, that's what he comes from. And it's as I said in the other one, it's the slow descent into madness that Jack Nicholson pulls off so well. And it's him writing, and then the lack of him being able to write, and his mind just going everywhere else but on the paper, that really turns him around and makes him kind of susceptible to all the stuff with the hotel that infects other people, gets to him and gets him totally, because his mind is racing, trying to be creative, but he's not able to, so it manifests itself in just pure madness. Such a classic movie, one of the best horror movies ever made. Just Jack Nicholson, Stanley Kubrick, directing and acting out a Stephen King novel. I mean, what else could you want? And then coming in at number 1, this is, I guess, technically 2 movies, but I've done this with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. I did it with Kill Bill 1 and 2. They're not separate movies. They're the same movie. It's just broken in half, so you don't have to be in the theater for 5-6 hours. And so I consider it the same movie. Now, this is also the second time they did this. It was on a long, drawn-out, like a TV miniseries, and then you could get it as a movie. But this one is the newer one, and I think it's far superior to the original, because it's that thing that I said in the horror movie video about top 5 horror movies, is that a lot of times remakes are better in horror or sci-fi because the technology catches up to what the story tells. There's a lot of crazy stuff in horror movies and sci-fi movies that they couldn't do with the technology back then that they could do now. This is a great example of it, and it's It 1 and 2, the newer ones. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I like the older one, but like I said, they couldn't pull it off, quite they couldn't quite get it because they didn't have the means. But now they can do pretty much anything, and oh my god, it's so much better. The look of it, the kids are better, like they're better actors. They're funnier. They get the little intricacies of the characters, down when they're kids and when they're adults. The clown just looks great. I mean, it's scary, it's creepy, it's gross. Everything you want in a horror movie. And it's, the clown. Clowns always, not everybody's afraid of clowns, but everybody's a little creeped out by clowns. I don't care who you are. And putting this demon kind of thing into a clown just takes it to a whole nother level. And they did a really good job with this second set of movies. I like it a lot better than the original. Didn't make my top 5 remakes list, because the original's not, it's not horrible, and it's not, I don't think it's better than those other 5 that I did, but these 2 movies are just top notch. When I saw them in the theater, the sound, it just adds to the creepiness of it, and they could do so much more with Pennywise. They weren't able to do before, effects wise, with the CGI and everything. And it doesn't come off as looking fake. It doesn't come off as cheesy. It could actually be, and that's the creepiest part about it, and why I think these are better than the other ones. And it's also why the 2 combined, I think, is the number 1 on this list. So that is the top 5 movies in my collection that are adapted from Stephen King stories, or that are horror. Where the other one wasn't horror, this is the horror one. So anyway, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and you like any of my other videos or all of them, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Hit the notification bell so you get all the other videos that I do. And like I said, if you like it, share it with give it a like, and then share it with all your other friends who are into horror or Stephen King. And if you have different ones that you like, or, if you're a Stephen King fan, let me know in the comments. We can talk about it. So, like I said, if you have friends who are movie nuts and also Stephen King freaks, share this with them. See what they think about it. That being said, this is Mr. Movie signing off, and I will see you again next time at the Flicks.